Okay, John, we got you on two different things. You're okay. You're doing your push-ups. Tony, are you there, brother?
I'm here.
Okay, cool. We've been having trouble with John's laptop not wanting to connect. So
Mine was just doing the same thing.
yeah, I don't know. I know there was some new updates to Chrome. I'm wondering if you guys are using Chrome or not.
Yeah, I'm using Chrome.
Okay, John, you post your push-ups. So hunting for strains for hot and rainy climates. Okay, Peter. Well, we'll see about that. Hey, Sadie, Scotty, Alex, great to see you guys here. Um, so the reason that I went hunting for strains on today's show is that's something that a lot of people on the medical side need to do to find the right medicine. That's why Tony's breeding for his medicine. I've got an opportunity where I'm going to actually be growing out 38 different strains. I have no idea what they are. They're just going to be a number, but I'm going to do them in hydro. I'm going to do them in living soils, different size pots, etc. It's going to be an experimental grow, but I'm going to be able to test 38 strains for my pain, my particular pain. And I know that we're talking about giving a lot of the cannabis to more the patients to get feedback. So when you were hunting for a strain, Tony, because John's still posting his push-ups, when you're hunting for a strain, what do you really want to see when that she pops out and you first seeing her out of seed? What are some of the things that you really look for?
Well, actually, I don't wait that late. I'd be looking through education. I research the genetics that they came from, the breeder who created them, how long and how often they bred them in the specific area they're in. Waiting for a seed to pop to find out, it's just a guessing game, and usually going to be too late for someone that's looking for pain relief.
Well, see that my partner, who we're gonna, it wants to remain anonymous. He's been breeding for quite a few years and has been doing exactly that. So he's the one that he's popped the seeds and we're going to run them. So we're past that point. That's why I wanted to get into to basically when you're looking at the plant itself. I haven't seen these plants. I'm probably going to be seeing them around the end of next week because I still have a lot of work to do on the grow. Um, but what should I really be looking for, Tony, when I first see those? Should I be looking for characteristics or should I be trying to use my nose?
You should be talking to the breeder to tell you what to be looking for, not self. Like he should be able to tell you at what node they're going to sex at, if there's a stability issue, what side of the parentage the plant should lean to, if you're looking for a particular type of effect from the plant. That should have already been passed with the plant if you're looking for it on a medicinal side. So, like with me and my mudbone line, this is something I bred through tons of people for medicine. The plants that I look for to choose for the medicinal power always look like mudbone, which also looks like angel and bubba combined. It's real easy to look for. It's a short, squat plant with wide leaves. If anything in there looks tall and lanky, don't even waste your time with them. You're wasting space and you're wasting valuable time for a sick person. So, like I said, it comes down to understanding the genetics that made the plant. The breeder should know his plants inside and out to be able to pass them
Yeah.
to you for medicinal properties. Otherwise, they're wasting your time. Like if you're a sick human, you don't got a lot of time. So they should be able to pass that to you with the seed stock. So even if he sent you 10 different crosses, each one should come with some kind of description of what should be produced from them, what to look for in that cross, and at what stage will that show up. Some plants will show it very early. Some plants are going to take maybe 60 to 90 days before you understand whether or not that plant's leaning to the direction that you want it. You shouldn't have to go into flower to find that out. Otherwise, you're working with a highly hybridized line, which could give you so many different combinations of genetics and chromosomes that hunting through them is a fool's errand. So again, you've got to dive into stuff that you know for a fact does specific things. That's like someone looking for CBD. You're not going to see that. It has to come through the potential of the progeny having it because the parents are able to pass it. Like the plants that I'm working with this year were all sequenced to prove that the parents used have CBD potential, not just because I
Yeah.
found one plant and 100 seeds, which is what most of the cannabis community does. They find one cultivar, claim it marks all the boxes, and then sell you the seeds that don't possess any of that potential. So, like I said, you've got to work with breeders that know their lines inside and out, have been working those particular lines for a long
Mm-hmm.
time. I would steer clear from people that are producing new hybrids every year with different parents. There's
Yeah.
no way for them to tell you that this particular line's doing anything because they're not keeping them in their line for very long. Like I kept plants for 17 years, so I can tell you without a doubt what's going to come from the combination because of my experience with those particular plants and not just
Mm-hmm.
what I think is going to happen because someone else put it in a post somewhere.
Well, see, I'm kind of going to be lucky because though he's going to be anonymous, he's going to be working in the grow beside me with all these different strains, and he does know what is what and who is who. Um, so I'm for me, it's going to be the interesting component of seeing the different plant structures, and it's the different plant structures I'm going to be working with. His is the seed and the breeding end, and we're going to remain all the strains anonymous. They're fairly old strains from what I understand, but we had a question from Peter. How about high calyx to leaf ratio cultivars?
Again, that comes down to the breeder and their knowledge of their own lines. What plants are going to produce that? Like GMO is a very high calyx to leaf ratio plant. It's got more calyx than leaf production. Afghanis tend to go the other direction, where they're going to have more leaf structure than they will have calyxes. But it also comes down to what are you using it for? Are you making a
Yeah.
concentrate which washes off the plant? And if the plant produces trichomes out to the end of the leaves, it does not matter if you have a high leaf to calyx ratio. It only comes down to does that produce enough, trichome coverage. Um,
Yeah.
I would warn against looking for medicinal properties through something that's so easily swayed by the environment as structure. Like structure is something that plants have, but it's highly plastic. So the plasticity of that plant can be affected very easily by the environment. Some plants will
Yeah.
change their root structure very easily depending on just the spectrum above them. So, like looking for a thin leaf cultivar in the sun is going to be different than looking for a thin leaf cultivar in a room that's lit with, say, just HPS lights. So
Mm-hmm.
it comes down to a many factors to tell you if that structure is going to produce what you believe it should based on the knowledge of
Well,
the G.
and what are you going for? Are you going for, like you said, the
100%.
washing? Or are you going for smoking? Are you going for what? And I think a lot of the times the different plants, have a different use of in the multiple ways that we can use this plant now. So I think a lot of it's going to come down to the testing on the back end. We're going to get a test machine to be able to test the THC and the CBD and the different components of those two. I like to find one where I can look for the other cannabinoids um, and see what's in that plant on that level. So, John, have you had your cannabinoids tested? CBN, CBG,
Of
CBD,
course.
etc. Um, what's Medi Kush running, if you don't mind my asking?
Well, anywhere from 27 to 31% THC. But that was years ago. I mean, I haven't tested it. The new stuff I'm testing is completely different. So I'm not really looking at that anymore because
Mhm.
honestly, I mean, I had the GC in my garage and I tested almost every day. and I was able to see the cannabinoids develop. I saw different things, and working with Dr. Paul Hornby over a decade ago and testing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of strains, and just seeing it's really there's so much information out there now, which is beautiful. And with High North Labs, and I run talking with John Slayer, and they run like 40,000 tests a week. Right. So, I mean, at this point in life, it's great to see that's all happening, and what you're doing, Ken, is it's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun. It gets to give you some good knowledge for yourself, and you can understand what you want to do for yourself and how you can actually, see if there's something working for you. Acknowledge you want to run how many strains? I missed that. 38 new strains.
30. He popped 38 strains that he's been working with, I guess, for several decades. And we're going to be testing them in hydroponic. We're going to be testing them deep water culture, et cetera, right up into the true living soils, just to see how they react. And there's so many people that, they're going to go to a methodology that works for them in their environment. If you're in an apartment, you have to consider more of the hydro than the living soil. Et cetera, et cetera.
Not at all. You can do both. So no matter which way you look at it, you can grow anything anywhere.
Well, yes,
anything anywhere.
A lot of people don't want a living soil in their apartment. Is basically what it boils down to. They want a cleaner methodology.
The difference you're going to get between hydro and living soil is going to be the size and quickness of how fast that plant grows. A water system treated correctly will grow a faster plant. It's going to get to a larger size quicker. But the cannabinoid profile shouldn't change. The chemovar status of that plant is only going to change based on how long you grow that plant. So like my haze for days is a plant that, if grown at 126 days in flower, like a full flowering regimen would recommend, it's going to produce about 30% THC. It's going to have about 5% CBD and very little CBN. Now, if I cut that plant down at day 62 and turn it into a concentrate, the concentrate shows lower THC at 27%, higher CBD at 5.7, and then a 4.7% CBN. So it comes down to what do you want to do with the plant? What is your purpose? So if you're going to make edibles out of it, a concentrate is the best bet for you to have. So you could take a plant that is recommended to grow as flower for 4 months, but you could grow it for 2 months and only wash it and turn it into a concentrate and get a very different cannabinoid profile. The chemovar status changes based on how long you allowed it to develop on the plant. But just switching between cocoa, soil, or hydro isn't going to truly affect those numbers. They're just going to give you a plant that's either bigger or smaller. It works with chili peppers. It's going to work with roses. The hydro system has the ability to allow the fertilizer that you give it, the ions, to penetrate through the root system much easier than the soil system, because the soil system relies on living microbes to break everything down, which takes much more time. When we can chelate it through water, it's so much faster and easier to do. But then there's you could have a problem with too much humidity in your system. If there's a leak in the system, you could end up with algae growing in the water systems. If you don't treat the water system correctly, it could fail very fast, where a soil system wouldn't have that same issue. So
it's buffered.
Styles of growth are going to dictate how fast it grows, but not change its chemovar status. It shouldn't. Each plant has its own chemovar status. It's not going to match up to the gene pool because they don't breed homozygous for the complete chemovar status of each cultivar. Each seed is a very different than the next, even if it's a self-line. Every time you recombine chromosomes, even in one breeding project, every seed has a different set of those chromosomes passed from the parents through meiosis. Then the seed next to it, you lose half of each parent when that happens. Even if you have the same plant pollinating itself, what half of its gene pool was passed is mixed up every time. It's like rolling a bunch of dice, and you might get all to one roll, and the next roll is a bunch of just 1 through 6s. Just because it came from the same genetics doesn't mean that plant and all of its progeny and sisters and brothers are going to have the same chemovar status. So you're going to have to come down to growing them out once, testing them out to find out which ones those are, then saving the plants that you want for the particular chemovar status that you're after. which again comes down to it's a long process for sick folks. That's why I tell sick folks, look for
Couple
clones.
years.
Try to find a clone that already produces the chemovar status that you're after, so you're not wasting time and staying in pain during that whole growing period to try to get what you're after, when the breeder should have already done that for you. The breeder should be able to pass a sick person something that can produce the chemovar status they're after very easily through clones, or they're really not breeding. They're just messing with seeds. Like I said, I had 176 moms. I could have gave you the plant you needed based on the medicinal qualities you were after, the growing style you were going to use, and now you would have that done in 3 to 4 months instead of a whole year to 2 years, where you're going to have to go through failure after failure to produce what you're after. Growing for medicine is completely different than growing for getting stoned.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's a whole different ball game, and that's where I lean to breeding for medicine. It takes a lot of sick people to tell you that the plants you're producing produce what you're after, when you could just lie to yourself because you grew 2 or 3 of them and found it, but you passed 10 seeds to someone else and they don't find any of it in there, and now you've wasted your time and their time just passing shit willy-nilly to them because you really weren't after the medicinal quality. You're after the shine that came from them believing they were going to get that out of your product.
Well, then you're dealing with the placebo effect as well, because if they think they're going to get that, whether they are or not, sometimes it works on that mental level.
But I feel if you feel better from a placebo, you weren't really as sick as you said you were. Like, I'm missing a damn leg, and I have ghost pains 24/7.
Yeah,
that doesn't go away until it goes away, and there's no placebo that works on it. Right? Placebos are for people that are talk themselves into the pain that they truly don't have. Pain is something that isn't easily affected, and if it is being affected, something's really happening. If it was just your mind, you could think you feel better, and you don't need cannabis, a pill, or anything. Just change your mindset. Start doing yoga. Start being more positive. Quit sitting down and go outside and do something. Those are things that will change what's happening to you if placebos do so. Like, really, a placebo's not going to have you're not that much pain if placebos are changing your reality that easily. You're just not.
Well, and you're talking right
placebos don't change a cancer patient's outlook. A kid with seizures who's 6 years old, if you give him a sugar pill, he still has a fucking seizure, right? The reality of the thing is true sick humans aren't healed through beliefs only. You have to have reality with it. And without that reality, you're just making the reality worse. And that's the problem with a lot of cannabis these days. Too much shit being passed off as something that it ain't, because somebody found something within it that they believe is everything. And now they sell them everything but that one thing, and no one finds it again in it. Like, that's why they dig through so many plants, like the AC/DC. They had to dig through hundreds and thousands of seeds to find that particular cultivar to release to the public in the clone form. And you can buy as many cannatonic seed packs as you want, and you're going to have a hard time finding that exact same chemovar in seed form, because it's not a true breeding line. And most of cannabis today is not true breeding. It's a very heterozygous thing that we offer people. So we're not giving them the apple that we're eating. We're giving them crab apples all the time. Instead of giving them a sweet 100 tomato, we gave them just tomato seeds. And like, they're after a particular thing. You wouldn't use sweet 100s to make a spaghetti sauce, right? You want Roma tomatoes. If I just give you fruit that's red and I call it tomato, and you want to make spaghetti sauce, you're going to have a real shitty time with that if I give you the wrong stuff. And that's where we're at with cannabis these days. There's too much of, look what I found. You could find it too if you spend enough money with me and have enough time and enough effort, instead of going, these group of people are dying and they need something specific. I have it in my possession. Let's give them that. There's not.
I mean, muted.
Yeah, I had you muted, man. Oh, not there.
I muted myself.
Well, and you should unmute yourself and talk to us. Speaking of medicine, what did you just have a hit on for your medicine you're on?
Death Bubba.
Death Bubba.
Bubba's a great plant that's proven through over like almost 3 decades now that it has the ability to be a very truly medicinal plant for so many
For
people.
pain. For pain.
Yeah, pain, neurological pain. It works great for cancer patients, appetite
Dog 91.
stimulation.
Joe Brown.
That's why these plants have been kept around this long. Not just because they got us high, because eventually we found out
'Cause
that
they
when we
work.
were stoned, we ran into some sick folks that we gave that plant to, and it actually worked. So instead of me making an S1 of Bubba, I pass you the clone, because the S1 now is going to give you everything that's inside of Bubba except for Bubba, right? It's going to give you a version of the gene pool, not that particular plant. And truly, a medical thing with cannabis is they have to have a very particular thing. It's like somebody that a diabetic. You don't just give a diabetic Tylenol as a pill. They need to have something that regulates blood sugar, right? They need insulin. They may need gabapentin, but you don't give a type 2 diabetic the medicine you would give a type 1 diabetic, because they don't work, right? So just because someone's diabetic doesn't mean you should use this, right? The first thing you do is you tell them they need to exercise more. They need to start watching what they eat. It's a giant thing that they have to dive into on a medicinal side. The stoner just wants to be high, and that's fucking easy. I can close my eyes and pick one of a million seeds I got, and you're going to get stoned.
Yeah.
But the sick human needs a very specific thing. Like I was talking to a blind guy who's trying to work with stuff that has the potential to help him with his blindness and the pain that comes from it, right? And he was diving into high THC stuff, and I told him that's just not going to work. You need to have something that works on blood. You need something that works on swelling. So I'm like, you need CBG, CBD, and THCV. So you're going to have to find very particular cultivars that possess those chemovar status.
Dude.
And that's the only way it's going to work.
You just said something that meant magic, because I'll share this with you guys. I had some testing results that came in when I was at Grow Up, and everything you said, CBC, CBG, THCV, came in on something that I've been working on for years and saw something.
Sweet.
And it's beautiful to be able to work on these type of cannabinoids that are helping us with our different pains, and what are helping with seizures and all these different elements that we're seeing and we're hearing about. And like you said, every strain has a different pharmacology, has a different efficacy. And every time you pop a different seed, it's giving a different medicinal effect for some other buddy out there. If it doesn't work for you, it's going to work for somebody else. And really popping seeds, you were just saying, the seeds that I popped during COVID, 120 seeds. We're down to the last 2 plants. Clones are cut and they're being flowered out over the next couple of months, because we figure these are going to be the ones. That's how long it takes. If you're going to pop seeds and you're not going to spend years at it, get out of the fucking business. Because I'm getting sick of people doing it. You hear about, oh, they pop a seed, they go on the neck and they start selling. They wonder why the shit's going to hell. It takes years. Mr. Toe, you spent years and years and years finding your cultivars. I acknowledge you for what exactly you're talking about, what you're doing here. You're right on point. Exactly what he's saying. It is a dedication. It is a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle. If that's what you're doing, if you're looking for medicinal plants to help people, that's your life. Don't pop a seed and say, here's 1 out of 5. It takes years. You might pop 30, 40 seeds, and they're all going to go in the garbage. I've done that a few times.
I spent $12,000 in 2012 on seeds.
And how many went in the garbage?
Worth of those seeds I kept in my possession. Everything else got thrown in the trash after being grown, because they just weren't what I was needing or what I was after. Plus, I wasn't educated at that time to know enough that I could have used some of those to go in a different direction. But I also don't have the time to do that, right? I have to breed for specific things, and trying to breed for everything is just going to fuck up everything.
I love a lot of people. You know how many people send me seeds who are not breeders? How many seeds do you have? You're laughing because like everybody's sending you seeds.
I got seeds from everybody, dude.
Oh man, it's just it's and you have so many seeds. Which ones are you gonna actually lay favor to? What are gonna be the ones that you're looking for? What's the seed that's going to give you what you need? And like, it's a lot easier to find that clone.
Easy, way easier.
Way easier. You find a flavor you like, it's working for you. Go, hey, can I get that clone? And you find that. You track that down, because that might have spent years for that person to find that strain. And a lot of people just are basic. Hey, like weed. I know people who will smoke anything. They don't even care. Oh, it's weed. I'm like, you're just not a medical patient, are you?
No, definitely not, right?
All right. Well, there's also connoisseurs who
Mm.
like certain strains,
Yeah.
certain genetics, and that's what they're looking
Yeah.
for. We have people who just like basic run of the mill. A lot of people that I know, people I know who are not in the cannabis industry can't smoke my weed at all. It puts them out. They go to sleep
Yeah.
because it's my pain weed. It's my bubba, it's the death, it's the medi, it's that kush that helps me get me through my days. And then pheno hunting that, and I just we did medi kush seed. That's been feminized and it's been hidden into the Death Bubba and the 91 Chem Dog Joe Brown because those are the strains that I love so much. Like Mr. Toad said, it crossed them. That could take a whole nother journey for the rest of it. There's so many to come out of that. You're gonna get some expressions, but you're not gonna get exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah,
that's why
you're gonna get the basic back end that you bred for, but there could be a special one again in there.
Oh, there is.
They're all going to be special. You just
They're all going to be special.
That it's special too, right? That's the problem. We've been breeding so long, most of this community, for what looks good, what smells good, and what
yields.
And yield. Like there was a whole period where people wouldn't buy my seeds unless I could tell them they could pull 2 to 4 pounds of light.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm like, are you trying to grow biomass? Or are you trying to grow I'd rather grow glands to grams. Right, I'm trying to grow a specific gland that possesses a chemovar status, and they want to grow a whole bunch of sticks and stones. Right, that's easy, man. Like I can put a blue dream in a room and pollinate it and get more weight out of that room than I got out of it without it being seeded, because seeds weigh more than the flower does. Yep. Like asking for biomass is just ignorance on a cannabis level. That automatically tells me you're trying to sell the most amount of weed that you can grow, and I don't breed for that. Right, I never do, and that would piss people off when I told them that, because I wasn't telling them what they wanted to hear, which was, "You're going to get 4 pounds off this shit easy." You could get 4 pounds off of any cultivar grown correctly, right? A bubba grows real slow, but grow that thing for 90 days in veg, and you're going to get 3 to 4 pounds into the same room. But nobody has the time to wait because they want to get paid like that. They want to turn it over.
Dude, come on, that's a 6 to 9 day veg. You got to flip that shit out. I got 62 days. What's wrong with you? I got to get 4. I might be able to put 5 crops in this year if I cut off 3 days and get that veg at another place.
Yeah. And then that's what it comes down to. What are you trying to grow for? Are you really trying to grow for a cancer patient or someone with seizures? Or are you trying to grow for someone that just likes the smell of weed, where it's just terpene profile? Are you trying to use terpenes to cure their medicinal power? Like, because you could use terpenes to affect, like, say, seizures. I have a friend that he's the oldest person in the world with Dravet syndrome. At one time, he was having 300 seizures a month. His mother was using frankincense to help stop the seizures. Just straight frankincense. Now, I could breed a line that smelled like frankincense and take a decade to do so. He's probably going to be dead by the time I do it. Instead, we give him ACDC, which the CBD in that plant helps with his seizures, and then tell his mom to continue to use the frankincense in pure form along with the cannabis, because me breeding that into a plant is just way too long for him to wait to get that power. Yeah. It's going to help another person 10 years down the line, but he's going to be gone by that time. And that's where me trying to breed something that's high terpene and high CBD, like, people don't understand how hard it is to breed a quad hybrid, right? Most you'd want a mono hybrid. You want something that passes a particular trait and only one trait. You're not trying to get purple and tall and fat and stinky and high THC, because you're not going to do that in the seed. You just won't, because it's too hard. It's almost impossible to breed that many traits into one line and have all the seeds possess that. It's very easy for me to get a plant that's high CBD and cross another high CBD plant. And as long as they have 2 alleles for it, all the progeny will now have high CBD. It doesn't matter what they smell like. It doesn't matter what color they are, because I'm breeding for one particular trait. That means when I pass you these seeds, they're going to be that. You might want them to smell like cat piss. The other guy might want them to smell like grapes. Search through 100 of them. You'll both find it, but they're all going to be CBD. I don't have grape CBD and cat piss CBD, because me doing that wastes all my time, and I could be doing a lot more different things with the plants that I possess and the gene pools that I have than trying to breed for every stoner out there that won't take the time to do it themselves. Like, if you like grapes, start to find all the cultivars you can with grape in them. cross them together, check the progeny. If 50% of the progeny don't have grapes in them, throw them in the trash, because those are heterozygous for that grape profile you're after. You're not going to get them out of it unless you select through so many seeds that you waste your time. There's plant counts in places. Sick people that can only grow 6 plants in an area don't have time to look through a 10-pack to find the one that you claim's in there. They need to have the ability to grow 6 plants that are exactly what they're looking for, which is where a breeder goes, well, I've got this cultivar that does this. I'll send you that. If you want the seeds, pay for the clone. I'll send you some seeds to look through, because the seeds are going to be way harder to find what you're after when I already have it in this form. Now, if you want to breed for something else, that's great. Do whatever you want with the seeds, with the clone, and find out that the first time you cross them, it's going to be hard. You're going to only get a percentage of what you're after from the progeny, because most likely the parents, because of the way we've bred for so long, are heterozygous for the trait, which means it doesn't have 2 alleles for that given trait. They don't have the ability to pass one to every seed. So if you're working with a line like that, you're going to end up with around 25% that show what you're after, instead of having 50 to 75% that show what you're after. And this is where breeding for true medicinal power, for even for just any trait, for high THC, that's easy. 2 high THC lines are going to give you high THC, but that's not what everybody's after that's sick. Most of them are after specific cannabinoids, like John brought up earlier: CBC, CBD, CBN, CBG, THC. And you're looking for higher numbers in the acid form and not in the decarboxylized form, because the acid form is where the medicinal power of that plant is.
That's why juicing comes into play.
Yep,
right?
Way better. Way better.
When you start looking at your juicing and certain things that you're doing, you're getting those acid forms, and that's what we're looking at when it comes to cancer. There's different conditions. And we even talked about helping with hyper-non-glycemic events in brain function and seizure activity, but using these type of cannabinoids. This is a big thing.
How's Haley doing? How's
fantastic.
Haley?
Well, she's like 30 years old now. She's not a young girl. She's a woman now.
Yeah.
You know, from her cannabinoid therapies, and we'll be kind of working on together. And what Cheryl's been doing for Haley, like Cheryl is the most stand-up mom and the most amazing woman I've ever met when it comes down to fully just exasperating, looking at all the different angles of how to use cannabis for her daughter, and not just her daughter, but for everybody else suffering from the same conditions. The work with Children's Hospital, the work with the doctors, the work with the lawyers with Health Canada, and the work that she does every day to bring a proper nutraceutical, to bring this type of cannabinoid therapy to people to understand how it's about holistic healing, natural health, and cannabinoid therapy. And looking at your whole pyramid of life mastery and how we're able to evolve with that and stuff like that, right?
Well, and you're using the sprouts in that now for her, because the CBD wasn't working as well. So
we're just seeing different things, and we're looking at different ways of being able to produce a medicine that's going to be the best feasible way. At the same time, it's going to give her the best results for what she's getting. So we're seeing this in different avenues right now, and we have a 100-page research proposal going in. So I'm not going to talk too much about it until things go forward with that, because it's in the middle of lawyers and moving forward in just a beautiful way. Results are coming back with all positivity, with things that we haven't seen before. People are just like, wow. So it's kind of in the hands of certain people, and we're looking at the next phase, right? Which is really, I got sitting down here, celebrate and contribute, right? Because we look at this wheel of life that's sitting in front of me, the mastery, and what we all try to do and stuff like that. This is just part of things I'm working on. And the best thing about the type of medicine that is being produced is it's going to come from all aspects of this plant.
Yes.
And understand the medicinal facts. It's a whole plant medicine. And looking at these cultivars that are working so well, and things that come with different cannabinoid profiles. And one was a big thing was with a strain that I've been working with for over basically 2 decades now, Medikush. And that has those that's what works for me. It works for certain people with spinal cord, with chronic pain. You know, certain things work really well for pain, certain work really well for anxiety, certain strains work really well for low self-esteem. All these strains have these different medicinal effects. Find the smell that is just so, that's going to change you. Then look for the cultivar that's growing, and then start exploring. If that's what you're truly after, you want to grow for your own medicinal effects, you want to start popping seeds. Like just always, like you can spend tens of thousands of dollars looking for something you have no idea what you're looking for. So
Yeah.
start with the olfactory. It's the best way of going to it. Olfactory and gusto. So you're going to go with your flavor and your smell. Sight is going to give you nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Sight's not going to give you anything. The flavor and the smell, I don't care what it looks like. That bag of pill is only for the sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know how many medical patients out there, they show up this big bag of weed and say, look at my weed. It's got lead. Hey, it looks like shit. And it's some of the best weed I've ever tried.
Yes. Yeah.
So really take a look at your curing, look at the flavors, and look at the smell.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get over caught up in how good it looks in a bag. Because it look good in a bag doesn't help with my pain.
Bingo. Yeah.
Just
So
think
guys,
how
I have a
people use
question for
cannabis. They can't see that shit to start off with.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The blind guy can't see it. He doesn't give a
Can't
shit.
see that shit, but he knows what
Yeah.
works when he gets it, and he's a better person to ask about the medicinal quality of that plant than someone that's staring at a bud.
Exactly.
When I can give someone 10 different things, he can smell it better than someone because his sense of smells turned up higher. He can taste it better than the next person. He's going to be able to tell me the nuances that I can't tell because I've been smoking too much fucking weed. Right? If I take an ounce of weed to get me high and someone else can take 2 hits off the same weed, I'm a very bad judge of telling you whether or not that weed's going to work for anything because I smoke too much fucking weed. And that's where it comes down to having other people's point of view and perspective of what's happening is where a breeder should be looking at and not at the likes on Instagram. Right? You need to put it in more people's hands to tell you that what you found is the one. Right? You give it to 25 cancer patients and 20 of them tell you, man, I was able to sleep last night for the whole night. I haven't done that in like 6 months. I was able to eat the next day and the pain didn't start setting in for a certain amount of time. Or I was able to go, like I gave my Bubba cross to my mud bone, which is a Bubba back cross to a friend. His wife has tons of pain. She can't sleep through the night. She doesn't do much. The first time she smoked that stuff, they went on a walk and went out. They came back home, were doing shit. And about 4 hours later, she's like, I just went on a walk with you. I haven't done that in months. Like that weed's good fucking weed. It takes my pain away. And I would have had to smoke copious amounts of the same cultivar because of how much weed I smoke. I do know it works though because of how long I've worked with that plant. But putting it in someone's hands who's never had it, they instantaneously know that one works and this one doesn't. And that's where you have to put it into other people's hands and be willing to hear them tell you that doesn't work. You need to hear the failure side to be able to succeed at what you're doing if you're a breeder.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for that, Mr. I really appreciate you and really putting that out there because it really comes down to these certain aspects. If you're going to be doing this for patients, make sure you're doing your research and your results and you're getting the proper. There's so many people out there in need, so you can give away weed like crazy and you're going to find that people are going to flock to you. And that was the best part. You guys don't mind me going back to maybe 15 years ago of being at the Green Cross Society and seeing those cultivars on the board that were actually true cultivars back in 2008, 2007, the older days, and seeing the people who to go towards, say, the grapefruits or the juicy fruits, or we go towards the Kush, and being able to really identify which cultivars were working for different conditions. And where people were I saw people with low self-esteem and just always went towards the fruity flavors, juicy fruit and grapefruit. And we saw so many things. The ones where they always come in and they get those flavors, and the guys are coming in with pain. They always wanted that Kush. They wanted something for the ones who were having, anxiety all the time, like the blueberries and like these other flavors. So we're looking at these. I mean, this is what me seeing back in those days. Moving forward in today, you're going to see the same thing. The problem is today is all the strains, you never know what you're getting. Especially in Canada with the legalization, it's like hit and miss. You walk into a legal store and there's thousands of SKUs. and you got
Mhm.
no idea what you're buying. It's like really a needle in a haystack because someone might have said this or that and half the names on there. So you really start identifying what you're looking for. And we're going to start hopefully seeing more terpene profiles on bags so you can identify what terpenes you're looking at.
Yeah.
This might be a real key thing. And that one that lights you up might be the one you're looking for, the one that's like, oh, yeah, you can feel that. You're going to feel that. Look at the olfactory. You'll really have a good smell. And you can smell that from the leaf when you're growing. Like when I was doing the 91 Joe Brown cross with the Medi, I was like, wow, the flavor that came out of this one strain, you could smell it. The leaf, I was eating it. I was like, this is the one that I know is going to work for me.
Mhm.
I'm already attracted to it. And it all three rooted on the same day this morning. Got roots coming out of those 30 cuts. I was like,
Sweet,
right
sweet.
on schedule, right? So, I mean, that's just me. I put down, some feminized seeds. I'm seeing how those run. But think of the seeds that I put down during COVID, those 129 seeds. And I'm down to 2 of those plants and looking at the short. So one was more indica, one more sativa, but the one's shorter, one's taller. So we're going to see the difference on that. And that's the Medi
Mhm.
Lights.
Yeah. Cool.
Take your time, find what you're looking for, and then
Yeah.
do it with passion.
Well, that's where I'm just amazed that I've gotten an opportunity with an older breeder who wants to remain anonymous, but I'm going to
And
have the chance to try 38 different strains. I've only really smoked
so
one strain,
I'm
right?
I'm curious. You're growing these at your place, his place. Do you have a full system set up for this? I'm
Um,
curious.
Rebuilding my grow out. I just have put in insulation. The flower room's done. I just got to put in
Nice,
new electrical, and it'll be up and running. And I still have to do the insulation in my veg area and my work area. So it's a work in progress. I should have plants by the end of next week. I should have 38 plants in my grow.
how many lights you running?
He's got. We're gonna do 2 5x5 tents, a 4x4 tent, and then an open area. So it's gonna be whatever he has for his tents. I'm actually working with a company called Grow Gear. They're sending me a tent that's a complete setup. I'm
Beautiful.
going to so all the fans, lights, the whole fucking night. They even send a jeweler's loop. Okay, so yeah, it should be an experience. Like I've grown because I used to do aquaponics. I've grown in DWC. I've grown in flood and drain. All of those types of systems. Just never cannabis. I grew a lot of other stuff in that, but I had the back end to fish. So I'm going to be doing air cloning. I've got my 23 spot cloner. We're going to fire that up again. I'll probably have to
Beautiful.
build a couple more.
There you go. Well, it's going to be a nice journey to follow you on.
It should be fun. It's going to be called the R&D Grow, and it's going to be on our network here. So and I'm sure that I could always be sending the links out to all the hosts every day when I'm doing the show because it's going to be live streamed right from inside the grow. And I'm going to have a microscope there where we can look at soil samples. I'd like to actually use Andy Lopez's idea of the refractometer and taking the leaves and taking a look at the juice and see how much of the complex sugars are there to look at the health of the plant that way as well.
Beautiful.
It's I
You get to go down a nice journey and really bring a lot of information to people
yeah,
and look at new ways of what you've learned and then the new
where
say
you guys have
the
taught
new
me.
generations, the new generation of growth and what we're getting into. Because as we're
Yeah.
evolving, we're seeing so many different changes, and it's really, really cool to start seeing it. And don't forget, guys, AI is your best friend because you can put all of these stuff into AI. You can take all your PDF files and put them into an AI PDF reader, and you can take all these old documentations and then everything we're talking about, and you can really start getting new creations of what we can start doing. Start looking at strain specifics, different recipes for different strains, different light recipes. Really start going down a uniqueness that you've never seen before. Get into new creation, create things, and
Mhm.
become that next one because it's going to be fun. It will be fun. And I'll always get into creative mode. And don't forget, 20% of the problem, 80% solutions. Because the best part about running 38 strains and that kind of stuff is the amount of lessons you get to learn along the way.
Oh gosh, yeah. And I'm gonna bring you guys along for it and help.
We're gonna sit back and watch. We got videos online you can watch too. So I've done this quite a bit. It'll be awesome.
I've watched all your videos, John.
You know, the best thing about it is show your mistakes.
Well,
Show your
yes.
mistakes and show
Yep.
how you get through those mistakes.
Yep.
Don't cut out the mistakes that you're not making. Show the mistakes that
Why
you
we're
are
live
making.
streaming.
Right. And the live stream makes it where we have like the Running Man and all these live movies and stuff like that. I think it's this the way people are able to kind of get going. Attention spans everything, so make sure you fall a few times. You know, trip in the garden. See,
I try not to trip and fall too hard.
I do.
I've broken myself too many times by doing that.
Well, it's definitely the whole thing is about hunting strains and cultivars and where we are in today's. Let's just say everybody's breeding. There's so many seeds. There's so many, like tomatoes. How many hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of tomatoes out there? And we're going to go with different regions all around the world. So the same thing with cultivars and strains. What strains are going to work best in your areas? And at the same time, with indoor growth, you can grow anywhere. Because we've grown underground, we've grown above ground, we've grown in the sun, we've grown in closets, we've grown in garages, we've grown in basements. We've pretty much grown in containers. We've grown in warehouses.
Containers under the ground, buses in barns, and
a long time ago.
It was a lot of fun. Time ago, but
now we don't have to bury that shit. You can just put it up in front yard.
Yeah.
Put a sign up and put a name on it. And say, "I grow weed. This is the name of my company," and have your drive-through here in Canada. Because I mean, that's where it's coming down to. Is we come to farm gate. And farm gate's a whole different level of being able to kind of produce and taking a look at the amount of cultivars, the amount of licensed producers that are in Canada that are growing all these different phenol hunts and doing big phenol hunt strains. The thing is getting the medical aspects behind it. What strains are going to be the best for the medical conditions? That's why they've changed a lot of the strains on the market.
Yeah.
And that's just me talking out loud and just hallucinating why you have a strain that's Pink Kush or Death Bubba that's being produced by a company on the island. And once they sell those clones to an LP, you have to change the name. And that's some serious bullshit. Because those two particular strains help a lot of people, and I know that. And I know it came from a legacy market into a legal market, but they have to change, and they have to change the strains' names. And that's just not right. Because a lot of people are actually used to a strain name that works for them, and then someone decides to change the name because they don't like it and give it a name that is suited for their need. And that's the whole thing when it comes down to cannabis. And today, and we take a look at the medicinal effects, is you really have to take a look at olfactory and take a look at that gusto and smell and taste it. Because right now, names don't mean shit in Canada. Zero. So be careful of what you're popping. See, at least with seeds, if you get a good seed, a reliable person who's selling you seeds, and you get that strain you're looking for, then you're going to hit a home run. I truly believe that.
And you got to also remember with today's breeding, there's probably 50 different people that produce Bubba in seed form. When you're looking for Bubba, you want to go back as far as you can to the original form of that plant. That's where the clone comes in, or someone that's holding that plant for a long time, not someone that just got somebody else's version of someone else's version who just made their own version. Because now you're so far away from the original cultivar, it may not produce the medicinal effects you're after.
Yeah.
Right. That's why, like, John holding his Medi Kush for so long, him giving you a copy of that is way better than going to one of these white labeled seed companies that find out that John's plant does that and then puts that name on a seed they produce, and then you buy it because it has that name. You need to educate yourself on the producer of the seed, how long they've had it, and the provenance that comes along with the plant they're using. If you're buying seeds from a place that doesn't mention the person that created it, look elsewhere. If you're buying a seed of something that just shows you a picture that's a stock photo they pulled off the internet, Go somewhere else. You're getting ripped off by these people. You need to start trying to back the people that aren't afraid to show you that they've been doing this for so long. If they've got some made up handle that's got a cartoon drawing of themselves on their website and it isn't even them, it's just some figment of their imagination, don't support that kind of bullshit. You're gonna rip yourself off. Look for the people that have been here for the longest amount of time, that have been doing this since they weren't allowed to do this, not the people that jumped in that found out that I can get paid off of your ignorance. I'm serious, man.
Yeah.
There's probably like 50's on the low side of Bubba, and that's Bubba that a lot of people don't even know about these days. Look at Girl Scout cookies. There's probably 1,000 people producing a Girl Scout cookie seed because they got a clone that was called that, and they pollinated it with another clone that they were reversed.
It's just
they're selling you shit out here. They're just selling you shit. It's something that, in like a vegetable seed, if I buy Sweet 100 tomatoes and I make more seeds from those, I cannot sell them as Sweet 100 tomatoes. It's against the law. This is a way to ensure that the customer isn't ripped off or the person that created it, right? We don't have that in the cannabis community. We don't have the plant rights that we should have. That's why the name, like John said, doesn't matter. Provenance matters more than the name of what you're trying to purchase.
Exactly.
Don't buy bullshit or you're going to end up smelling like shit.
No, it will smell like shit.
I'm serious on this. I can't say it enough.
There's
so many people out here that are ripping off people that, like myself and John and all these legacy breeders that have been doing this. Like my mom is a felon from growing cannabis for my grandfather who was dying from cancer. The paperwork says we were growing medical cannabis in 1988. It wasn't even a thing to be in 1988. Like they didn't even know what to do when they couldn't find scales in my house and baggies to bag shit up. When all they could find was a dying man and 12 plants, they didn't know what to fucking do with her. They gave her a felony. She went to jail and she got out and kept doing it because it was for someone who was dying, not for no fucking Instagram posts out here. Quit supporting the people that are crying because their posts got blocked on Instagram or Facebook. Back the people that lost family members because they were willing to put this plant in the ground and make sure you could do the same. Quit backing the worst of the worst out here. Just hustlers taking advantage of sick, uneducated folks. The education is there now today. It wasn't
everywhere.
You can go anywhere and find out. Like if me and John are talking shit, just look us up on the internet. You'll find out John is one of the longest known dudes that I can tell you about that's been fighting for cannabis on the medical side. He's in his own country doing it. Quit looking for me over here when you can find him closer to you, right? That's why I used to send people from my club to the club closest to them that I knew was legitimate, because you don't need to drive 20 miles to find me when there's a place 5 miles from you. Support those that want to support you. Don't support people that could give a damn what your fucking first name is, let alone what your ailment is. Like, don't deal with the bullshit that's out here.
All right, John, you're supposed to show your plants again. I'm gonna take a moment.
I just did the trim, and I just want to acknowledge you right now. As Toad, like, brother, you touched my heart. You know, like what we do here and what a lot of people out there do every day is to really show you what is going to work and how it works and the reasons why we do these heavy trims, and we show you what we do in the different cultivars, and we run the different strains, and now I'm running new nutrients, and always stepping up, doing what I love to do. I sleep there some nights just so I wake up here.
Yeah.
Right. And I decided to put one in my upstairs bedroom just to show you guys that you can grow. That of course, I just want to have some fun, and at the same time, this is where I do my breeding.
Mm-hmm.
I did my breeding in this room over a decade ago, you know, and now I'm starting to really take a look at those genetics today. It took a decade to really start seeing what's going to be the true effects of those genetics, so I can actually truly amount. People wonder why I don't sell seeds. It takes years. I'm not going to give you a seed and go here. Have you ever done that, Mr. Toad? You know exactly what you're doing. You spend time on it. You flip it out. You grow it out. You make sure it's got effect. Then you let people try it and see if people are liking it. And they go, that's what I'm looking for. Well, here. Then you give them a blessing and say, this is what you're looking for. Thank you very much. Because
I
my
did that
seeds go
myself.
out there and I give them to people who truly need them.
Yeah.
That's how
Not
I
for
started
someone who just
selling
wants
seeds.
them.
The veterans that I was giving seeds to for free so I could get their information back came into my club pissed off that they thought I was showing pity on them. And I'm like, you guys don't understand. Like, the information you give me is invaluable. I can't give you enough seeds to thank you. And
Exactly.
once they realized what I was doing, they still wanted to pay, but they no longer felt like I was just pitying them for being sick humans, right? You guys have a position in life that I don't. Like, if you're fighting PTSD from wars that I never fought, never am going to go fight, but you can give me that information of what the plants that I have can do for someone like yourself and your friends and the other men and women that you surround yourself with that I don't know. And eventually I ended up knowing them because they would bring their people into my club knowing that that's what I was about. I wasn't trying to sell you the next best thing. I was trying to sell you whatever worked the best for your thing. It's a whole different thing that I'm trying to do. And I gave out clone after clone, seed after seed, until eventually they come back and wanted to buy the ones that worked because they were no longer wanting to get whatever. They were tired of being test subjects. Like, they understood it, but like, I need some Bubba, man. That Bubba works for PTSD. It helps me go to sleep at night. It takes rid of my, like, it just works. So that's how I found out that Bubba was one of the best medicinal plants. The amount of different ailments and the people I gave it to, right? From cancer to PTSD, eating disorders, that plant worked. And the people that produced it, it was an accident. They didn't breed it to be that. They didn't give a fuck about your medicinal quality. The guys that put Bubba on the market were dudes that were pushing weight. And that's all they were caring about, right? And the seed popped up in their grove. We ended up fucking cloning it out, and this is what we get. They didn't go through trying to purposely breed something for something. And that's why having the ability to see a plant through the eyes of multiple people is where you find if that plant marks all the boxes. It don't matter if it washes because you're a fucking hash maker. It doesn't matter if it just gets rid of one person's seizures. I need to know that 10 out of 20 people all said it worked for this, and the other 10 said it worked for that. And now I've got two sets of people that I can give one plant to instead of giving 20 people 20 different seeds. Right. But I can still give you the seeds because there's going to be something in the seeds that'll probably work better. But I don't have the time to search through them myself. I don't have enough people with enough time to do that when they're sick. But you, like someone had brought up here, just growing is medicine in its own. So if I give you the plant that works and give you other things to grow, I've given you two different forms of medicine, right? I gave you the one that works on a chemovar status, and I gave you one that worked on an emotional status, right? That's where the placebo effect comes in. Just growing for the happiness of growing is a placebo because you've changed your reality. You're growing through growing, right? You don't need, like the shirt I'm wearing right now, grow through what you go through, right? That's what it is.
I need that shirt.
And if you don't change your mindset, you're going to be stuck in that perspective, right? That's the placebo effect, right? Change what you believe through experience. Don't just keep doing the same shit over and over again. And then you can find out that what was wrong really wasn't wrong. It was the environment, right? You were stuck, depressed out of your mind because you weren't leaving the house, because you wouldn't talk to nobody new, because you wouldn't try a different experience. Now give you a plant that makes you want to wake up in the morning and make sure they're not dried out and dying. Gives you a plant that you decide that the smell alone just makes you feel better. And you start to realize that you were stuck in depression. You weren't suffering from it. You were actually just stuck there in a perspective that made you felt like you were. You could get out of that. Some things you cannot. Like I said, my leg being chopped off. I'll never be able to imagine myself grow a leg. It's not going to happen. But I can also give myself the ability to not dwell on that thought. Right? If I don't start thinking about the legs missing, then I'm walking and taking steps forward without ever having to lift both my legs. And that's where the seed comes in. The seed is a form of giving someone life that they think they've lost. It's growth. Bury it with dirt, wet that fucking thing, and it's going to grow, and you'll grow along with it. But in the same breath, give them the medicine they need. Whatever plant you have in your possession that works for someone else, even if you got to charge them for it because they've got enough money and they want to pay, or maybe they're so sick and they're broke and they can't, whatever works, but don't pass them bullshit. Pass them reality.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Now, we did have Pembina River was mentioning the cold hardy seeds, and Ron, who we had on last week, he's actually going to be coming back. He's just harvesting seeds, and he's going to be doing some seed giveaways, Pembina River. So you're going to want to be watching for that. We'll announce it a few weeks before, but he'll be coming back on the show to give some seeds away from his cold hardy plants, the ones that'll go down to -5, -8 C for us here in Canada to grow outside. So just wanted to get that out.
And also, if you're up in Canada, you don't just look for cold hardy seeds. You look for shit that's going to finish quick because you have a short growing season.
Yeah,
Don't
find me.
that can handle cold, but needs to go 70 days because you're going to have too many winters that aren't going to allow that time growth. So you need something that finishes very fast. Like I've got a Redwood Kush that can finish between 42 and 52 days.
Beautiful.
It's not a big plant, but it will grow fast. So if you have a very short growing season, you start the seeds inside, get them to a specific side and stick them outside and they'll flower. And now they're done before the rain and the wet comes that you're
Light
fighting.
depth. Get some tarps, start tarping
Same
that
thing,
stuff.
light depth, yep. So it's
Light depth, man.
change how you grow. Again, it comes down to being stuck in one mindset, thinking that I have to have something that can handle moisture, can handle mold and mildew, is forgetting that you have a time period where none of that shit happens. And you can utilize that season to grow the can.
Okay, what was it, John?
Season growth.
Oh, that was the 42 days hard that starts in the next like 48 hours. I was just getting some messages on some of the stuff that's going on.
So that's the course that we're starting tomorrow. I actually have to sign up yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, use John B code John B 420. That's the only way to get in, where it's $420. And the AI stuff that's coming behind that, LEDs, the growing tips you're getting. Oh, dude, you guys have no idea what you're getting out of this growth package. It's 42 days hard, and you'll see the new blog post coming up here. It's right in front of me. And it's about that challenge in life. So that challenge that you don't think that you can challenge. It's about stepping up for that growth that you're looking for and how to get there. It's like everything that you do from growing, everything we talked about here today, about that the seed, the looking, the growing, and the understanding, and how it takes years to get to where you want to go. Well, you know what? You just can't climb Mount Everest overnight. You just can't grow a seed and kind of be a breeder overnight. There's processes of going through everything you need to go through in life. That's exactly what the 42-day hard challenge is. It's about imagining your truck and stepping forward and how to accomplish some tasks that you haven't been able to accomplish before, and taking serious ways of looking at it through mental wellness, exercise, and guys, it's climbing your personal Everest right here. It's all sitting there, and that's what we've all been doing here.
Redwood
you know
Kush.
what? Redwood Kush. We've all been climbing our own personal journeys and going through those footsteps of life. And that's one thing that's so great about being a part of this group and understanding. And what we do here, guys, every day is we give back. And I want to acknowledge everybody here and all you guys watching out there, and just really stepping up for yourself. And 42 days hard is just a challenge I'm doing for myself that I was doing, and people wanted in. And you know what? Actually, so a few of you guys have decided you don't want to jump in. You're a little scared. You know what? Now's the time to step up for yourself. We got 2024 is around the corner. You want to learn some new technologies, new ways of being able to step into your own heroic, unique identity, who you are. This is a way of being able to being able to give back. Yeah. So join me on my journey. 42 days hard starts on Wednesday. All the links are going out tomorrow, and there'll be links going into a Discord app, and then we're moving over to Mighty Networks, which is a pretty cool thing we've been working on for a while. So we're going to be launching some things along the way that you guys have be able to use for your future you. So please jump in. Appreciate you guys.
Oh yeah, guys, I'm going to end the stream there. We have Josh Sonnenberg this afternoon with Avon Layton. And then on Thursday with the ladies, Murphy Maury, an extraction expert from down in, I believe, Oklahoma. And of course, myself and Andy on Wednesdays. So